Dear students, in today's class, I will solve a problem relating to transportation model by the application of a second method, that is least cost method. In examination, it may be asked as a cost minimum method. Cost minimum method and least cost method both are same. By the application of least cost method, how to find out the initial basic feasible solution? See. The method suggests that least cost method. So this is the problem. This is the transportation matrix that you have studied in your previous classes. In these transportation model, in this transportation problem, in the given cells, we have to find out, we have to identify the least cost cell, as the name suggests, least cost cell. So 9 cells are there. In these 9 cells, which has least cost 6, 10, 11, 5, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14. In these 9, the least cost is 5. Therefore I select this cell, the cell which has the least cost. That's what we need to select. I have selected 5. So after selecting this, we have to apply the same method. In the selected cell, we have to consider the demand, we have to consider the supply. So demand is 10, supply is 60. In these two, again we have to take the least one, as we did in previous classes. 60, 10, which is the minimum, 10 is the minimum. So I fill here 10. I have allotted 10. After this allotment, the same allotment must be deducted from demand and supply. Here demand is 10, allotted value is also 10, 10 minus 10, 0. Now supply is 60, allotted value is 10, so 60 minus 10 is equal to 50. 60 minus 10 is equal to 50. Right. Now after deduction of this allotment, the column, demand column, has gone 0. Supply column, the balance is 50. So whichever the column or whichever the row becomes 0, that must be eliminated like previous classes. So now column is 0, I will eliminate this column. I have eliminated this column. So again we have to apply the same method. After eliminating this column, so 6 cells are left. 6 cells are left. In these 6 cells, whichever has the least cost, that must be selected. So in these 6, which is the minimum, 7 is the minimum. So I will select 7. I have selected 7. So after this selection, we have to consider demand and we have to consider supply. So of this cell, the demand is 40 and supply is 50, balance is 50. So 50 and 40, in these two, whichever is less, that should be allotted. So 40 is the minimum value, therefore I will allot 40. After making this allotment, now what we need to do, this allotment must be deducted from demand and supply. So demand is 40, allotted value is 40, 40 minus 40, 0. Now supply is 50, allotment is 40, 50 minus 40 is equal to 10. 50 minus 40 is equal to 10. So here again, once again, column has become 0. So therefore I will eliminate column. I have eliminated this column. After eliminating this column, again we have to apply the same steps. So this column is eliminated, only 3 cells are left, that are 11, 8 and 20. 11, 8 and 14. Again, in these 3 cells, whichever has the least cost, that should be selected. 11, 8, 14. In these 3, the least one is 8. So I will select 8. I have selected 8. So after selecting this one, what we need to do, again we need to consider the demand, we need to consider the supply, right? See, first supply is 10 here. This cell has a supply of 10 units. This cell has demand of 50 units, 50 and 10. In these two, whichever is less means 10 is the less value. So I will allot 10. I have allotted 10 here. After making this allotment must be deducted from demand and supply. So demand is 50, so allotment value is 10. So 50 minus 10 is equal to 40. 50 minus 10 is equal to 40. Next, supply is 10, allotment is also 10. So 10 minus 10 is equal to 0. 10 minus 10 is equal to 0. Now row has become 0. So which row has become 0? That must be eliminated. So this row, second row, has become 0. I am eliminating this row. I have eliminated this row. So after eliminating this row, only two cells are left, 11 and 14. In these two cells there is no elimination line, so therefore we need to consider these two cells only. So first one is 11, another one is 14. Two cells are there. In these two cells we have to select whichever is less. Whichever is less means 11 and 14. Out of these two, the less is 11. I am selecting 11. I have selected 11. After selecting this one, we need to consider supply and demand. So here supply is 20, demand is 40. 20 and 40. In these two, the least value is 20. That should be allotted. So I am allotting 20. After making this allotment must be deducted from demand and supply. Here demand is 40 and allotment is 20. 40 minus 20 is equal to 20. Now it must be deducted from supply also. Supply is 20, allotment is also 20. 20 minus 20, 0. Now once again the row has become 0. The row has a balance of 0. The row which has 0 balance, that must be eliminated. So I am eliminating this row. I have eliminated this row. After making elimination of this row, only one cell is left, that is of 14. See, in this cell of 14 there is no elimination line, therefore this is the only one cell which has no elimination row. This is the last cell. When there will be last cell, that cell must be having demand and supply equally, otherwise the calculation we have done, that will be wrong. Therefore see, this is the last cell. The last cell, its demand is 20 and its supply is also 20. That means we have done correctly. So when there is last cell, there will be no comparison which cell has least cost, which cell has highest cost. We don't need to consider that. When there is last cell is left, that should be selected. I have selected this cell. After selecting this cell has a demand of 20, supply is also of 20, so there is no comparison, whichever is less or something like that. So directly we need to fill that. 20 units. So we have allotted 20 units. This allotment must be deducted from demand and supply. Demand is 20. 20 minus 20, 0. Supply is also 20. 20 minus 20 is equal to 0. Now all columns, first column has 0 balance, second column has 0 balance, third column has a 0 balance. Now row, first row has 0 balance, second row has 0 balance, third row has 0 balance. When everywhere there is 0, that means we have done our calculation. Now we need to calculate the IBFS, initial basic feasible solution. So row wise let us move. 6, 10, 11, these three cells are there. In these three cells, this cell is allotted with 20 units, therefore I will write here 20 units. 20 into per unit cost is 11, it will be 220. this is over, and second row first cell is allotted with 10 units. They should be taken 10 into per unit cost is 5 is equal to 50. This is over, and next the cell of 7 cost has allotted with 40 units. Allotment only we need to take here, so 40. Let us take 40. 40 per unit cost is 7. It will be 280. 280. Next, third cell is also allotted. Third cell is also allotted with 10 units. 10 into per unit cost is 8. 80. This row is over, and third row, first one is not allotted, second one is not allotted, we don't need to take them. Third one is allotted with 20 units. 20 units into per unit cost is 14. It will be 280. It will be 280. So this is also over. That means all the allotted cells have been taken here. So now let us make total. 0, 6, 24, 5, 7, 9. The initial basic feasible solution is 910. This is the method of least cost. I hope this one is the very simple method. So in case any doubt, you can send your doubts in group. I will clarify your doubts. Thank you.